As we approach Arizona's hotter months, a look at the state's newest indoor COVID-19 vaccination site.
Plus, how President Biden's executive order will affect Black, Latinx, and Indigenous homeowners in Arizona.
And later this half hour on Break It Down, the racial gap of professors in higher education.
Cronkite News starts now.
Good evening and welcome to Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Brianna Alexander.
And I'm Delaney White. Thank you for joining us.
Temperatures are heating up in the valley, and that's forcing changes in vaccine distribution.
Cronkite News reporter Caitlin Keenahan joins us now to show us the newest state-run site in the East Valley.
The Arizona Department of Health Services opened their first indoor COVID-19 vaccination site in Mesa this morning. Appointments started around noon and cars loaded into the new vaccination grounds. AZDHS had a specific reason for making the switch indoors.
We are opening this indoor drive-through facility. It's the first of its kind among state-run vaccination sites.
Dexcom opened the doors to their 500,000 square foot distribution facility to vaccinate nearly 4,000 people every day. It will operate 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. Dr. Kara Chris with the Department of Health Services says Dexcom hired a few paid workers to run the site.
What we identified was that the drop-off in volunteers was a little bit faster than we could bring those paid staff on, but now they're going to have a nice mix of paid staff as well as volunteers.
So why go indoors? Well, in Arizona, triple-digit temperatures are right around the corner. I mean, I've been standing out here 10 minutes and I'm already breaking a sweat. As these temperatures get hotter, the volunteer signups are starting to thin. The state hopes that the shift indoors will increase volunteer signups.
It's actually wonderful. It's very nice in here and comfortable, so it's a lot nicer than having to stand out in that 95-degree heat, and safer.
And today, the state announced another indoor vaccination site will open up at Westworld in Scottsdale on April 22nd. In the studio, Caitlin Keenahan, Cronkite News.
The CDC reports more than 3.4 million doses of coronavirus vaccine were administered Easter Sunday. It didn't quite top Saturday's all-time record of more than 4 million shots in arms in a single day. 32% of Americans have now received at least one dose of the vaccine. According to the CDC, about 19%, or 61 million people, have been fully vaccinated as of Sunday. In all, about 165 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine have now been administered in the U.S. to date.
An ASU professor is teaming up with leaders from Arizona and California to help educate the Hispanic and Latinx community about COVID-19. Cronkite News reporter Emma Vendenindi explains what his team is doing to make the information more engaging and effective.
We have several sources, internet, TV, and social media, all vying for our attention. This has the potential to create a wealth of misinformation, especially for the Hispanic and Latinx community. But one researcher wanted to change that. With his new initiative, he's hoping to get that crucial conversation going, even through some unconventional means.
This isn't your average J-Lo performance, nor is it your average COVID-19 explainer video. This cartoon is just one of the many ways ASU researcher Gilberto Lopez is working to better educate the Latinx community about COVID-19.
I saw that the information about COVID that I was getting through my academic bubble, my academic peers, was completely different than the information that my community back home, the farm working community, was getting.
Through his research, Lopez found that the problem was not about a lack of information, but rather unfounded rumors getting spread. Claudia Corchado, leader of the nonprofit Cultiva La Salud, said that this has a lot to do with the over-trusting nature of the Latinx community.
There's just a lot of myths, a lot of misinformation, a lot of overwhelming information that's out there.
Despite the misinformation, the facts still stand. The CDC reports that the Hispanic population is 2.3 times more likely to die due to COVID-19 than whites. In Arizona, almost 5,000 Hispanics have died. To address this, Lopez contacted several community leaders, universities, and artists from across the Southwest to help spread the word doing what they do best, storytelling.
It's not enough to just translate something from English to Spanish and expect individuals, expect populations to understand it. We need to bring it to the community in a way that's tailored for the community.
Lopez decided to take a multimedia approach. He started by interviewing Latinos about how they get their information. Then, his team created the animations, a project that Lopez said reached over 1 million people. Corchado added that the animations were not only successful, but relatable.
There is an abuelita on there, and we all have an abuelita. And you know you're supposed to listen to your abuelita. You don't question your abuelita. And the fact that we can relate to the characters that are on some of his work is, I think, is the key, and it's more important.
Lopez also recruited Phoenix artist Hugo Medina to paint murals in Central Phoenix that encouraged mask wearing. His latest took 3 months to create, an effort that Medina hopes will promote unity in the community.
I wanted to really show the diversity of the people of America, and even though we're all look differently, we're all from different backgrounds, we're still fighting together for the same cause.
Lopez plans to expand the outreach outside the U.S. into parts of Latin America. But for now, his main goal is to give back to his community.
I'm using the skills and the resources that I have access to do something about it. I'm not going to cure COVID, but if I can make the lives of the people who are being affected by it a little bit better, then I think that's enough for me for now.
Lopez said he'll publish all of the multimedia elements on April 15th. Their website will also include resources about where to get tested or vaccinated for COVID-19. If you want to learn more about their initiative and view their educational material, you can visit covidlatino.org when launched. In the studio, Emma Vandenide, Cronkite News.
The coronavirus pandemic highlighted many pre-existing disparities within communities of color, but one seems to rise above the rest: housing inequity. Cronkite News reporter Kelly Donahue explains what this issue looks like in Arizona and how the president is looking to solve it.
Did you know that homeownership rates for Black, Latino, and Native Arizonans are much lower than those of white residents? This phenomenon is an outcome of something called housing inequity, and it isn't just an issue in Arizona. In fact, it's on President Joe Biden's list of national problems to fix during his presidency. A survey done by Washington University's Social Policy Institute found that Black and Hispanic homeowners have been hit harder than their white counterparts since the pandemic began, due to ongoing evictions, foreclosures, and other rent and mortgage struggles. Narrowing the housing gap is one of the Biden administration's biggest goals, related to his call for nationwide equality.
Housing is a right in America, and homeownership is an essential tool to wealth creation and to be passed down to generations.
Biden's recent executive order includes a mandate for the Department of Housing and Urban Development to promote equitable housing policies that will create opportunities for communities of color. But what does housing inequity actually mean, and what does it look like here in Arizona? For starters, housing inequity describes any disparities there may be related to homeownership rates, affordable rental housing, homelessness, and other related hardships. For Arizonans, it's a prevalent setback for Black, Latino, and Indigenous communities, especially those living in rural neighborhoods. This is because they tend to rely more heavily on their homes to generate income and maintain their wealth. These populations need property ownership and affordable rental housing to allow them financial stability and spending power. However, homeownership rates for Black, Latino, and Indigenous Arizonans are much lower than those of white residents. According to a Prosperity Now report, 71.5% of white Arizonans are homeowners, while this percentage is 35.2% among Black residents, 53.8% among Latinos, and 55.7% among Indigenous people. Housing instability in Black, Latino, and Indigenous communities is also being exacerbated by federal laws that force them to relocate and prevent them from accumulating wealth through homeownership. Centuries of displacement and land redistribution policies have promoted segregation by forcing people of color to urbanize and only serving white applicants. However, balancing the housing market may not be a matter of creating new policies, but rather doing away with the outdated ones. The Biden administration says that it plans to get rid of, quote, racially discriminatory federal housing policies that have contributed to wealth inequality for generations. Biden also wants to limit housing discrimination, which can occur when a landlord refuses to rent or sell, or charges more to buy or rent a property to someone based on their race or ethnicity. Housing discrimination also occurs when a property owner says that a property is no longer for sale when it actually is. In the broadcast center, Kelly Donahue, Cronkite News.
We had record-tying temperatures this weekend. So far, April has gotten off to a hot start. Tina Giuliano is here with what we can expect for the rest of the week.
It has been a pretty hot weekend. Of course, today is no different. I mean, the UV index for tomorrow is about 45 minutes for sunburn time. So grab your sunscreen because you're going to need it. Here in Phoenix, we are the hottest. Second up really is San Antonio at 89 degrees and El Paso 87 degrees. So we're really inching up there, hitting summer pretty hot here in a minute. It's 90 degrees in Phoenix and even up in the Grand Canyon 64. So if you're looking for cooler temperatures, up there is the place to be. But in Tucson 88. So central and lower south Arizona is pretty warm. Coming up here, we will get some cloud cover, but just a little bit. It's going to be mostly clear skies throughout the rest of the week through Thursday, as you're seeing here. Our evening is looking pretty great. 83 degrees by 10 p.m. Partly cloudy, but those clouds will be gone by the time we hit Wednesday and Thursday. Friday and Saturday, we're still hitting those 93, 92 degrees on Saturday. Sunday, a little bit of cloud cover with 91 degrees, but we are starting our work week up in the lower 90s, and we're going to stay pretty consistent there throughout the next couple of days. So in the Weather Center, Tina Giuliano, Cronkite News.
I'm Kelsey Calisi. After the break, I'll have your Cronkite Sports Report, including a recap of the hard-fought championship game by University of Arizona.
Ready to watch the best of PBS anytime, anywhere, on nearly any device? It's easy with the free PBS Video app. Simply download the PBS Video app on your mobile or streaming device. Now you can watch the latest PBS episodes or catch up on the shows you missed. Discover new favorites from PBS and local content from your PBS station.
Here we go, lights up. Whoa.
As artists, we conduct our educations in public. You can never know whether it's going to be a success. One just has to risk it.
It's you and the work and the place. It's a very particular relationship.
Here's our lens. Tell us what you think.
Friday night at 9 on Arizona PBS.
I think he was a terrific father sometimes. I think that he was a loving husband sometimes. I think he was like so many people, except this enormous talent. Hemingway is very complicated. I hate the myth of Hemingway. It obscures the man, and the man is much more interesting than the myth.
Coming in April to Arizona PBS.
Welcome back. I'm Kelsey Calisi with your Cronkite Sports Report. The University of Arizona Wildcats came up just short in their bid for the school's first NCAA women's basketball title, but fans around the state were still proud of the team's efforts. The Wildcats fell to the Stanford Cardinal after a last-second heave by star player Ari McDonald went just left of the basket. Head coach Adia Barnes was still complimentary of her team's performance despite the result.
This team is so special. I am so proud. You know, we fought, like we weren't the best team in the tournament. No one thought we'd be here. We believed in each other. We didn't play a great game, but we battled. We played our hearts out, and we came within one possession.
Life as a walk-on can be tough. Arizona State men's basketball sophomore John Olmstead chose that path, and it gave him the chance to represent Arizona and put his hometown of Morenci on the map. Cronkite News reporter Mason Kern takes us to the eastern Arizona copper mining town and details Olmstead's journey to Tempe.
In a forgettable year for ASU men's basketball, John Olmstead focused on maximizing his opportunities.
Obviously, just to be able to score like that as my first points, it's very exciting. I told myself before the game, just kind of whenever I got the ball down there, just go up and dunk everything.
Olmstead's debut bucket was validating and is representative of his journey to Tempe. Grinding in silence with little expectations, he received a tangible reward, a posterizing dunk fit for home decor.
I told him afterwards, I said that you kind of set the bar pretty high for your first college points to start with that. I've had several people tell me the same thing. Yeah, you ought to make a poster out of that.
Growing up in Morenci, Arizona, separated by stints living in Chile, the thought of playing college basketball wasn't top of Olmstead's mind. But a stellar prep career in a small town led schools to finding him.
I had other opportunities, obviously, but what really kind of hooked me to here was love to me all the time. It was just the love, and then also just being able to play for Bobby Hurley. I mean, he's one of the greatest players in the history of the game.
The majority of Olmstead's childhood was spent in Morenci, Arizona. With a population right around 1,500, the eastern Arizona city is home to the largest copper mine in North America.
I got used to small town life. There's a lot less people. You kind of know everybody. It's more of a connected community.
Olmstead's father, Josh, was educated as a mining engineer and began his career in Morenci. The industry took the Olmstead family international and back, but the small Arizona town will always be home.
Morenci, it's a neat little town in the sense that it's pretty small, like you said, but at the same time, you know, everybody knows everybody, which makes it kind of nice because you can create some really good, close friendships with people.
And now Olmstead is forging friendships in Tempe, getting buckets, and repping his hometown at the Power 5 level.
It feels good just being able to represent Arizona, and especially a small town in Arizona.
Thank you for stopping to observe the Morenci mine.
In Morenci, Mason Kern, Cronkite News.
Olmstead was a valuable member of the Sun Devils front court this season, playing in 11 games and logging 7.5 minutes per each. That does it for today's Cronkite Sports Report. Back to you, Brianna and Delaney.
That's it for Cronkite News tonight. Thanks for joining us.
For top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.